Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Nancy Smith. And you'll see all this stuff sitting here on the table. Let's just see here, Mark. I'm going to pull this up and just real quick, and you can see this, and you're going to know what we're going to talk about. All right, we're going to talk about running in the Boston Marathon. Nancy here has been running in. Tell us how long have you been doing this?
Okay, this is my 23rd consecutive Boston Marathon. And what makes me unique is that it's consecutive.
Yeah, I was going to say, that makes a big difference.
Yes. So my original goal in 2000 was to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I never anticipated that I would be at this point in the journey.
So there's a qualification. You just can't just show up then.
Right.
I didn't know that.
The Boston Marathon is the only marathon that you have to qualify to run in, and it's based on your gender and your age group.
Okay.
Or you can run on a charity.
Okay.
The BAA, Boston Athletic Association, has a certain number of official charities, and so that's another option.
Yeah.
So I've qualified for about 16 years, and then the past 8 years I've run on Dana-Farber Innovative Cancer Research.
Right. So why in the world did you decide to do this? Were you motivated some way on the very first one?
Yes. Qualifying and running the Boston Marathon is most runners' dream.
Right. At least once, right?
Yes. So I started running when I was on the gymnastic team in college. It was part of our training. We had to do laps.
Right.
And then I just found it to be very addictive and just kept running.
They say you get a high from doing this
True.
running. They do. And you feel like, wow, I've accomplished something. It's a good feeling.
Yes, it's called a runner's high.
Yeah.
So I ran my first marathon back in about 1978. I was 23, 24 years old. I actually ran 2 marathons back then, which was not common for women to be running.
Right.
Women weren't permitted to run the Boston Marathon until 1978.
Right,
so
right.
I was on the cusp, cutting edge of...
You were a pioneer.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't even realize it at the time. So ran 2 then, and then I had 3 children. I'm married and teaching full time. Then I went back to get my master's.
Right.
So my running kind of went on the side. I biked, but then in my 40s, I met a running group, a group of teachers that each morning would run at their local Metro Park. So connected up with them and decided, okay, I'm going to get back into this.
Yeah.
And ran the Detroit Free Press. That was the start of my journey.
You can see all of these medals she has on. This is a nice thing that you get this from doing this. But something I asked Nancy before we started about her children, if they were runners, or they just think she has a crazy mom, Some do both, right?
Yes. Yeah, my granddaughter runs.
Right.
But
did she run with you in the marathon? Or
well,
she just supported you.
They live in Michigan.
Okay.
Which is where I retired from. We lived in Michigan for 30 years.
Right.
We moved to Front Royal about 2.5 years ago.
Right. Well, we're glad you did.
Thank you. Yeah, we love it here. Our daughter and her family live in Haymarket, so we wanted to be near them. And
Close, but not too close.
this is true. And get away from the horrible Michigan winters that are so long, so just dreary, and so.
You had 30 years. That's enough. You paid your dues. So let's talk a little bit about the marathon. You started in 2000?
2001.
Okay, 2001. That was a traumatic year. And then you were there actually when the bombing happened at the marathon.
Yes, that was in 2013, and this year was the 10-year anniversary of the bombing.
Right.
It was one of those life-changing experiences.
I bet.
And typically I don't carry my phone, but that year I did because I had a hip injury. And so I got to, I think it was about mile 22, and a woman went down a runner in front of me. And so I tried to call 911. The med tent was right down the road, and I wasn't getting out. And it turns out she had a grand mal seizure. They assisted her. I went on, and I just kept seeing just happenings that something's not right. For example, I saw, it's a well-known team, Team Hoyt. I saw that team on the side. Weird. But all the water stations remained open. All the police officers were still on the course. And then I saw some law enforcement vehicles coming back. And then I got a text from some friends who were already in saying, there's been a bombing, people hurt, we don't know any more about that. So I asked this woman I was running by myself if she would like to stay together, because I had my phone and I'd heard there was an explosion at the finish. It was shortly after that it was mile 25 that we started to see runners and walkers walking back on the course. Like, something's really wrong. I knew we weren't going to get in. And then a few minutes after that, there was a police officer who put a tape across the course and said, "You're done. The course is closed." And when we asked him why, he didn't answer. He said, "I don't know. This is the end. You're not running any. The course is closed."
Right.
So we went into a nearby Starbucks. They gave us some plastic garbage bags that we could put over us because we'd been out how many hours, and then they gave us some hot coffee, but we didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I couldn't get any calls out on my phone. No calls were coming in. And then trying to get back to my hotel, so I was probably a mile away, but that wasn't even an option. And it turns out I connected with a couple that lived nearby, and they took me into their condo, and they gave me some hot soup. I was able to get out on the computer so that I could let my family and friends know that I'm okay.
Right.
And I'm not sure what time that was, let's say 5. All the hotels were closed. You couldn't get in. At 7:30, my friends that were staying at the Marriott Copley said they could get me in. The security would let me come in. So the couple that I was staying with walked me back to the hotel. I was able to join my friends who I wanted to be with. But it was just such a surreal experience. You knew more than we did because you were watching the news.
Right.
So everything was locked down. The Marriott Copley provided a buffet because no one could eat. There was nothing. So we ate. Again, surreal. It wasn't until the next morning when we saw the newspaper article and the photos. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And all that happened. When it
goes through your mind, I could have been there if I'd have just been there 5 minutes sooner or whatever,
And had I not been injured, that was about the time that I would come in. Yeah. One of my friends that was at the hotel, she got in right before it. She heard, smelled, and felt the bomb. Yeah. So
that's something you never forget.
No. Actually, we went together last year. That was her first time back. And it was just a very healing time for her. Sure. She cried and cried, and
you need that closure sometimes. You just need to go back and, what they say, jump in and kind of get that.
That's true.
Get it over again. And
they had the memorials. I did not realize how close to the finish the first bombing was. But we saw the memorials, and then so that was where the first bombing occurred, and then some runners tried to go back. Then the second bombing was past that. So we just kind of solemn time. And this year, again, I visited the memorials, and they had some were firefighters, just, again, solemn, standing by the memorials and paid my respects. And
it's a moving, brings tears to your eyes, doesn't it?
It does.
And you
it does.
Get chills when you're just thinking about it sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
But we're glad you're safe and you made it. And you even went back.
Yes.
10 more times.
Yeah, that's right. It was really good. The Boston Athletic Association, they are just phenomenal, wonderful at that balance of just, it's such a celebration to be able to run it and to complete it, but then that respect, that remembrance of what happened in 2013.
Yeah, that's right.
Another part of this, I I grew up in Indiana, but I'd never been to the Indy 500. And it was shortly after the bombing in 2013, I saw where the Indy 500 was going to invite any of the 5,700, 5,700 participants who didn't get to complete it. Like, I didn't get to cross the finish.
Right.
And so we could apply, and which I was able to do, where they bussed us out a half a mile from the finish of the Indy 500. And there were 40 of us. And we ran together, 2 flags. I mean, that was an unforgettable experience.
Sure.
So we're running in, and everyone in the stands are standing and cheering, USA, USA. I cried and cried, and then kissed the bricks at the finish.
Yep.
And then Jim Neighbors sang Back Home Again, Indiana. I just started bawling. I just thought, I can't believe I'm finishing my 2013 Boston in the state that I love, Indiana, and it was just such an incredible experience. So,
well, you've gone from all around. It's a great experience. So, you have any advice for beginning runners or people that, it's not all about running the marathon. I mean, not everybody can make it. Of course, I like that 0.5K. There was a joke going around, we're going to have a 5K. No, I have a 0.5K.
I think just staying active, whether it's running or walking or biking, it's just as physically and mentally so healthy and balances.
Yeah.
I've started using the Galloway program. Mm-hmm. So for 20 years, I just would get a pace and get in my groove and run. But as I'm getting older, I've just found my body doesn't cooperate the way it used to. So
you can't do that mind over matter stuff anymore, huh?
No. So I run 3 minutes and I walk a minute.
Okay.
And that mentally and physically is a fit for me. And it's a very popular program. So I wear a timer and it goes off and I signal that I'm walking, and then when the timer goes off again, I run. And you can, he has a book out, but you could do like a 2-minute run, 1 minute walk, or it's very flexible.
Yeah.
So
I think you get in that headspace, you know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And you get those goals, and like you said, even at 3 minutes, maybe it's maybe at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, you're ready for the walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you just push through.
Yeah.
You just push through to it, and you say, okay, I made that.
Yeah.
You set these micro goals, right? And before you know it,
yeah,
you done went 26 miles.
Yeah. I also want to share that I couldn't continue running consecutive Bostons without a greater purpose. I mean,
Sure.
So what? So for 8 years, I've run on Dana-Farber Innovative Cancer Research. It's the largest charity team in Boston. It's an official charity team. We have 500 team members. Mm-hmm. And I also I run in memory of a patient partner, Brooke, which I have her picture.
Oh, yeah, show us what you have.
Yeah,
here.
I would love to. So this is our Dana-Farber singlet.
Mark, get a picture of that there. You got there, Mark? Okay.
And this is Brooke's photo on the back. So Brooke was diagnosed with neuroblastoma cancer, high-risk stage, when she was 4. She fought courageously until she was 12, and then she passed away and wore her angel wings. And
But it's good to have that memory.
Oh, yeah.
And that purpose, because
Yes.
you feel like it's not just the running, it's the accomplishment of it, and it's the camaraderie of the people and
Yes.
the people that are sponsoring you and all the things you can kind of, the fellowship that you have in a group. It's more than one thing.
For sure. Yes. We are like family because we all have a common mission and purpose.
And you share this bond, especially like this 10th anniversary. You even share that bond with those people, and then just kind of come together. It crosses all social, economic type things. It doesn't matter rich, poor, black, white, green. Doesn't really matter. It's all that you share that experience. I think that's something that it brings people together.
So, I mean, I'm excited to announce that this year our team has raised almost $7 million for innovative cancer research, and 100% of our donations go to fund the creative, brilliant scientists who find cures which have extended the life and the quality of life of all kinds of cancer patients. And right now I've raised, through so many donations of family and friends, $8,600. I'm still fundraising, and my goal is I would love to reach 10,000.
Sure.
But
well, let me tell you what, we're going to put the link to the donate page, and you're going to click on it and
thank
help
you.
Nancy here.
I would love that. And the reason it's especially dear to my heart is that my mother and my grandmother and my father all passed away from a form of cancer. I have some friends the same. That I just know cancer touches all of our lives,
it does.
And it is a monster, and it's very scary. And 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have the cures that we have now.
Right.
It's so encouraging to know that, again, we have scientists who are researching and finding new cures.
Well, people like you that are doing these things and making awareness. It's not just the running is kind of like secondary in a way, but I think the awareness and gives people a reason, to come out and to donate, but also to encourage that. And then all of a sudden they get caught up in it.
Yeah.
And it's like it just spreads around, and it's good to do that. I think we need to do more of it. So when are you going to run your 24th marathon?
I'm planning on it.
Now, when you get to 25, are you a little special? That's always like a big number, 25, 50, 75,
So if I reach 25 consecutive Boston, then I will be part of the Century Club.
Makes you sound old, doesn't it?
No, but I think I am.
You don't have to
probably
qualify
old.
anymore. Then,
No, I don't. Then I'm in, and it's just a matter of finishing.
Well, let me ask you now, you're from your first marathon to your last marathon, let's talk about how long did it take you to do that?
You mean time-wise?
Yeah, just kind of like, just ballpark it there.
Okay, well, all right.
I know what it'd take me, 3-4 days,
So when I started back running at 40,
right,
I ran fast. I was competitive. So my PR and it was at Boston, was 3 hours, 42 minutes, and 10 seconds. So that's, okay, now 27 years later.
Right.
Okay, so I did...
You're dating yourself, Nancy.
I did about 5.5 hours, which I'm fine with.
That's still a respectable time, isn't it? I mean, there was
a
a lot of people behind you.
Yes. So with Boston, in order to have an official time, you've got to come in 6 hours plus when the last runner crosses the start. So that could be 6 hours and 15 minutes, could be 6 hours and 20, just depends on... Again. And so my goals were, number 1, to finish, number 2, to finish injury-free, and then number 3, to come in with an official time. So I'm really happy. There's no more PRs for me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's the reality of it. But I did want to maintain my streak and get an official time. So I'm very happy with running about 5 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah. I came in comfortable. I felt...
You didn't get hurt?
Nope. I felt I ran strong at the end. So I do want to share... Go ahead.
I'm still surprised at the amount of people. Like I said, I've been in Boston when this thing, and you see just the herds of people, and it's just amazing. The people, but that's still such a small amount of people compared to the runners in our country that get the opportunity to do that, and we just can't. The average person, we just had a recent 5K run here, and you have 50 people show up, and you're thinking, well, that wasn't that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
when you think about it. 5K doesn't compare to a marathon, but
still, it's a start.
It's a start. So tell us this, before I interrupted you, what were you going to say?
I wanted to share another part of my motivation when I wasn't running on Dana-Farber, and you just the crowds, the spectators line the entire course.
Right.
Especially
that gives you energy, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Especially the last 6 miles and then 2 miles coming, because you're bussed out to Hopkinton, and you're running the 26.2 miles back into Boston. So as you get closer to Boston, more spectators, like not just, they're deep, like 2, 3 deep.
Right.
So the end, there's a block, it's called Hereford. You run Hereford, and then you turn on Boylston, and you can see the finish way down. It's 0.35 miles. I looked it up. And because I wear my singlet with my name on the front.
Right.
And
They're
Boston,
chanting your name?
Yeah, Boston, they love Dana-Farber. They
Yeah.
call it Dana-Farber. But
Yeah.
when I was running, I'm like, oh, the spectators are yelling at everybody else, and like they don't know my name. And so it's been exciting that running on Dana-Farber that they cheer you on. Go, Nancy! Yeah! And so when I was the final stretch down Boylston, and I was so focused on just crossing that finish line, and I literally was crying inside, thinking, I made it. There it is.
Yeah.
But I could hear everyone, go, Nancy! You got this. Go, Nancy. And it just was like, it just fuels your...
Right. But you mentioned them. You kept focused on the goal. You know what I mean? You
True.
Look ahead. You don't look behind.
No.
You just always focus on the goal. That's a good thing in our life to be doing that on everything we do. Focus on the goal.
That's true.
Well, Nancy, it sounds like you've had a lifetime of you still got a few more experiences to go. So when you run your 25th, we want you to come back.
Okay.
See, now you got a goal to work towards.
That's
So
right.
you can come here in our studio again.
Yeah.
But it's great. There's all sorts of people to live in our community that have done these great things. We just don't know about them. And I really think this is great. And
Well, thank you.
I think no one in our area probably can say they ran 23 marathons, more or less 23 Boston marathons.
Well, I'm honored, and I really appreciate you inviting me and letting me share.
Yeah, that's great. So we're going to get the good word out. You're going to give me the information about this donate page for your 24th marathon, and we're going to help share that, and hopefully we'll drive a little interest to it, and it'll be great.
Well,
all right?
thank you. I
Nancy,
appreciate
again,
that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and good luck on the next two.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thanks.